So let me tell you guys about the time I got in a fight in fifth grade. So I got in a fight with this kid named Chuck Austin. He's a pretty cool kid. He was kind of the leader of the skaters. We had these groups of kids, like cliques, I guess. And you had like the rockers, guys with black shirts and long hair, usually, or kind of longer hair. We're still in fifth grade, so they weren't airbags or anything. You had like the sports enthusiasts, the kids that were wearing the jerseys all the time and couldn't stop talking about who was going to win, the Cowboys, the Raiders, or the Lakers or the Bulls, depending on what sport they were watching. And then you had like kind of the nerdy types, which was more like me. Just, we dressed like whatever our parents bought for us. That's how we dressed. We were just kind of standard. And I was very shy, and I kind of belonged to that bigger group, right? The typical kid dressed more like the way I did. And then you had like the skaters, and the skaters dressed cool. Usually they were like the little bit more affluent, or at least their parents were. And, they were usually, Caucasian white guys. Then they're in their Bermuda shorts and their Bermuda shorts and their Vans tennis shoes that we always thought were cool, and spiky hair, probably colored hair too. And Chuck, I ran into him at the crosswalk that day. I was on my way home, but I was in a bad mood. I can't remember why. And we said hi to each other because we knew each other. But as he was standing there waiting, he was tapping me with his pen. And at first I didn't think anything of it, but then I thought, he's trying to be kind of dominant with me. Keeps tapping me with his pen. It's kind of a territorial thing, and it was bothering me. It was annoying me more than anything. So, I told him to stop. I didn't even push his hand. I just told him to stop. And he didn't. He kept going. So then I pushed his hand. And I told him to stop. And he didn't. He kept going. Wham, 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 wham. So finally I got tired. I got, annoyed, and I pushed his hand off, and I told him, dude, stop. And then so he pushed me, and I pushed him back. And by this point I knew, oh shit, this is going to happen. This is what we're going to get in a fight. I've never gotten in a fight before at school. I'm going to get in trouble. I'm going to go to the principal's office. I'm going to tarnish the image that my elementary school teacher has of me. I'm going to ruin that. That's like the most sacred thing for me. I always wanted to be a good kid. My parents are going to get mad at me. I'm going to get in so much trouble at home. I'm probably going to be grounded for a month. My dad's probably going to give me a good spanking. Like I thought the worst. I was going to get I was going to be in big trouble. But anyway, by this point I knew there was no turning back. So he pushed me and then kicked me, and he kind of kicked me on the side of, on the hip. And as he kicked me on the hip, I realized, wait, he's not really hitting me that hard. He's not that strong. I'm considerably bigger than this kid and considerably stronger. So I grabbed him by the back of the neck, and I just overpowered him. I pinned him down, and I went down myself, and I brought him down to the floor. And so he was by the curb, and I pinned him in a squatting position all the way down. And I too was in a squatting position over him. And I just held him there. I held him there for like what seemed like 10 minutes or something like that. But, it seemed like an eternity, but it was probably like 30 seconds. It was until it was obvious that he had no other moves to do, and that I had basically overpowered him and won the fight. So then at that point, he kind of gave up, because he had been trying to hit me, but it wouldn't even reach me. He kind of gave up, and I just grabbed him. I just pushed him away from me, and he kind of stumbled and fell on the floor. And I got up and walked away, kind of, briskly, not walking fast, but just, at a good pace. And I had friends there that had seen the fight and were rooting me on, because they were kind of like the typical dorky kids like me. And they're like, hey, Robert, you got one for us. You got one for the dorky kids. And so they're all proud of me. They were patting me on the back. And as I'm walking, I start to cry, because I knew that I was going to get in so much trouble. And I had never gotten in trouble like this before. My parents were probably going to kill me, and I was going to get sent to the principal's office. And who knows, I was probably going to go to detention or even, what do they call it? Alternative school. Like, I was so worried anything was possible, right? And so I went home that day, and my mom saw that there was something wrong, that I was worried about something, and she asked me. So I told her, and she was totally cool with it. Like, once she understood that I wasn't the one that was bullying this kid, I basically defended myself, and she knew that I had always been a good kid. It's like she almost was happy that I defended myself. And so, no, she didn't yell at me. And then I thought my dad was going to kill me when he got home, and he didn't kill me. My mom told him later that day, but he kind of asked the same questions, got an idea that, I was the one being picked on and I had to defend myself. And he was kind of happy that I had done that. And that was it. They knew that I was going to get in trouble, probably be called to the principal's office, but they were prepared for it. And yeah, sure enough, the next day, called to the principal's office. I was sitting in class, and all of a sudden they called me over the loudspeaker to go to the principal's office, and I was so worried because I'd never gotten called to the principal's office before. And Miss Sutherland heard that, and I'm sure that it started to damage this good image she had of me. It was tarnishing this image of the perfect teacher's pet that I was, and I was so worried about that. But anyway, I went to the principal's office, and it was Mr. Hickman, a very serious guy that you do not want to mess with. He's the assistant principal, and he's usually the disciplinarian. And he had called Chuck also, and so he asked us to tell him what happened. And after we kind of explained what happened, he knew that I hadn't ever been in the principal's office before, and he saw how nervous I was probably. So he just kind of let us off with a warning. He said, "You guys need to make up right here in front of me. I want you to shake hands. And I don't ever want to hear that you got in another fight, and I never want to see you in my office again." And of course I complied, and I turned to Chuck to shake his hand, and he was totally cool. He wasn't even worried about it because he was a repeat offender. So it was nothing new for him to be at the the principal's office, but he turned also, and we shook hands. And then, like, ever since then, we were friends. We were kind of buddies with each other. We weren't like best friends. We didn't hang out or anything, but at school we'd talk. He kind of like developed a respect for me. Anyway, it's crazy. Life is crazy like that. Sometimes you think it's the end of the world, you're gonna die, and then it's like a learning moment. And then you look back at it 30 years and you realize, man, that enriched my life. That was something that actually needed to happen. That day I saw that I was stronger than most other kids, that I could defend myself. And yeah, even if I hadn't, most of the time when kids stand up for themselves, the bully kind of backs off. He's like, okay, I don't want to get in a big fight every time I pick on this kid. So anyway, I just wanted to share that story with you guys. Take care.